So this is shortly after 06:30 hours GMT, 06:33 hours GMT, and 6:33 in the morning of Friday, 4th of June 2021. This is part A of the Khoodeelaar television channel coming from London in the UK within quotation marks. And this is part A, taking a short look at the newspapers, and we shall be taking a longer look at the newspapers in the next 3 hours, but this one is going to be a few minutes long, and we are taking a look at the rare item on the front page of The Guardian, which says that the data about coronavirus infections and the extent of the pandemic across the UK suggests that higher risk of serious illness amid rapid spread of the virus in schools. Now, this is connected with the second story on the front page of The Guardian about connected with the schools. And that one reads, furious Conservative MPs have privately demanded a rethink of the watered-down recovery plan for schools in England after the government's education catch-up chief resigned over the proposals. Now, that catch-up chief isn't mentioned in the Guardian's starting paragraphs, but the catch-up chief is the crook, CROOK, crook and liar, Kevin Collins. Now, Kevin Collins, the liar, used to be in post in the London Borough of Tower Hamlets Council as the thief executive. Spelling it again, THIEF, thief executive, who committed a series of criminality and crimes against democracy and against local accountability and against the community while he was in the post. And we have detailed his criminality. Now, the crook Kevin Collins is being painted by the Fleet Street papers as the catch-up czar, which is absolutely absurd. I mean, this creep crept through the corrupt status quo and the bureaucracies to surface as the criminal kind of czar for catch-up, schools catch-up. And his main role is comparable to the role of the other crook, Carslake. Carslake surfaces from time to time and is given elevated status by the lying, ignorant Fleet Street. And Kevin Collins is the same. Nobody has actually examined Kevin Collins' role and his movement through the corruptocracy of Whitehall. It was Kevin Collins, the criminal, that aided and abetted the propaganda for the crooks who wanted to foist the crooked post of elected mayor on the Borough of Tower Hamlets. And Kevin Collins, as the chief executive, was allowed by Tower Hamlets Council's crooked regime that was in place just before the imposition and foisting of the crooked post of elected mayor to appear on television and to promote the crooked case for the crooked anti-democratic foisting of the elected mayor criminality post. So this is the broadcast channel that produces this unique analysis called the world exclusive analysis and diagnosis of Lee Street. And we're doing this diagnosis today based on the glimpse of the Guardian's front page today so far. And we shall go deeper into the role of Kevin Collins the crook in the later editions today, definitely scheduled to be broadcast before midday today. And Kevin Collins was also the criminal who was in post in Tower Hamlets Council when he appeared on the Undercover Boss series produced by Channel 4. And in the program that he appeared in, Kevin Collins perpetrated a series of lies that included his co-liar, Colin Cormack, the criminal crook, in post as the causer of additional aggravated homelessness in Tower Hamlets. And Colin Cormack, the crook, remained in post after Colin Kevins left Tower Hamlets Council. Now, Kevin Collins left Tower Hamlets Council as part of a deal with Lutfur Rahman after Kevin Collins, had aided and abetted Lutfur Rahman in getting into the post of elected mayor at the expense of democracy and honesty and integrity. And that was part of the deal that Lutfur Rahman entered with Kevin Collins, which was part of the agenda to foist the crook Aman Dalby in the post of chief executive to facilitate the corruption and criminality plan and agenda that had been set for the corrupt post holder by the gangs and criminals who brought about the corrupt criminality post of elected mayor. So to see that Kevin Collins has been elevated by the crooked, idiotic, ignorant, irresponsible Fleet Street as a pious person who is part of their suggesting campaign to improve the quality of schools and school pupils is absolutely significant and remarkable. What it shows is that there is no democracy, there is no accountability, there is no honesty, there is no fitness for purpose anywhere in the bureaucracy that is attached to or is in place around the incumbency in the post of the so-called Prime Minister by the congenital liar Boris Johnson. And today's Fleet Street papers are continuing the display of stupidity and corruption and idiocy and ignorance that they do every day. As for India, the piece in the Financial Crimes yesterday, Thursday, the 3rd of June 2021, byline to Amy Kazmin, which we read in full almost, and which was headed, Modi's fraught relationship with pandemic data has harmed India. Now that's the most offensive understatement of the crimes committed by Modi and Modi-fronted regime. Modi is not the subject of discussion, let alone condemnation, across India by the mainstream. He is, but the mainstream media is suppressing all discussion about Modi and Modi's corruption and criminality. In neighboring Bangladesh, Modi is being discussed by the kind of currently active parts of the so-called opposition to the regime fronted by Hasina. And they're talking about Modi in the context of the release in the last 24 hours of a number of protesters against Modi's visit to India in March that had been arrested by Hasina. But the reference to the people being released and reference to the protest against Modi's visit to Bangladesh should not be confined to just the visit or the arrest or the protests. Because Modi has got more opposition in the province of West Bengal in India than he has got in Bangladesh or Bangladeshi regime of Hasina, which is very significant. The difference between the West Bengal regime fronted by Mamata Banerjee and the Bangladesh regime fronted by Hasina is 100%. Kind of the difference is 100% different. Well, the Bangladesh regime fronted by Hasina is 100% kind of in prostration, in almost a position of worshipping Modi and Modi's BJP regime. Whereas Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal represents the most persistent and consistent, comprehensive opposition to Modi and Modi's BJP Brahminist Hindutva regime. So this distinction will be examined, diagnosed in due course, and it is noted in view of the stupid piece by Amy Kazmin in the Financial Times yesterday. Because Amy Kazmin is one of the lying Western peddlers of the lying myths surrounding the so-called image of the biggest democracy in the world. Modi has shown that there is no democracy in India. There is a fascism in India that the mainstream media in New Delhi, in Chennai, in Bombay, in Kolkata are aiding and abetting. And they're doing that to the detriment. Literally, they are colluding in a program of murders, massacres of Indians. And the front page of the Hindu today, the Chennai edition of the front page of the Hindu today confirms this, although the Hindu is not making any critical comment. about Modi's role in the massacres of the ordinary Hindu people in India. The facts are undeniable. It's saying that the Chennai edition of the Hindu today, well, this is not the Hindu of today, but it's actually the date is Tuesday, the 1st of June. So it is reporting that the number of new COVID-19 cases across Tamil Nadu is 27,936. And let's see if we can find the and they're saying in the Hindu, let's see if we can find the Hindu today. Okay, the Hindu today, 4th of June 2021, the Chennai edition, has got 24,405 new COVID cases. And in Tamil Nadu, the deaths by COVID is 460. So it says a total of 24,405 people tested positive for COVID-19, and 460 persons died in the state on Thursday. Yesterday alone, 460 people died in Tamil Nadu alone. This took the overall tally of cases to 21,072,751, and the death toll to 25,665. But the universal opinion about the statistics of casualties is that Modi regime is understating the numbers. And the Hindu is reluctantly admitting that the Modi regime is targeting journalists for telling the truth by accusing them or applying the highest criminal charge against journalists, which is sedition. And the fact that such an atmosphere could be achieved or arrived at or created by Modi against journalists is to do with the role played by the journalists themselves in aiding and abetting the Hindu fundamentalist Hindutva agenda across India. So we shall be talking more about India, Modi, and the impact on the safety of Indians under the Hindutva regime of criminals fronted by Modi in later editions. This is coming to 7 minutes to 7.